Well, keywords. I think they should get
Okay, continue. Reorder the text. Pause. Read. Scan it.
maybe it's even rereading on G.
Look, rereading. They don't read the pictures. Scan it. Okay.
So I think
Maybe you just scan the text.
maybe you just
If you like to put it there.
that's it try to represent
Second. Scanning.
I think G's still because
all the pictures as they
for the paragraph. It's not like
scanning.
I think.
Of course, scanning. While scanning, yes. They associate some pictures with words. Scanning. 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 Last one, post reading. It's kind of a drawing. Predict document. Pre-reading.
Complete the chart.
Students make questions on the topic in let's put it there. Let it be. Guess what reading listening got from keyword pre-reading. Anticipating. Come on, nice style. Find three different things. How can they anticipate if they don't know the content? How can they do it? They just the last one. Look, three differences between the pictures and text. Pictures and text. I think while scanning, definitely while scanning.
please compare your ideas with my ideas. If there are some differences, we think the ones which are different, we're going to discuss them maybe.
May I take the smallest one? Look, you've got post file, I've got skimming file. I take skimming file. And I also take the questions for skimming file, I've got two of them.
And you have to give it I'm going for questions because we have I'm going check for it to be for day,
Let's discuss why you got
I have a problem with understanding the terminology.
Write some
for example, you need to find a certain date when something happens. You need to find a certain time.
I thought vice versa. So I thought scanning is what you said. Okay, I will know. Yeah, I know.
Well, I think here it's more like introduction and the topic. Like, hey guys, have you ever done journey Medus can go on the show?
Okay, thank you very much.
Anton, it's better, look at me, it's better to change like this and this is okay for you and for Zhenya.
What differences?
I mean, you are checking.
About prediction. About prediction.
For example?
Well, for example, again, as already was mentioned, it depends on the type of info that you pre-teach, right?
Yes, totally agree. So you pre-teach only when it is necessary. If it is necessary for completing a GIST task, then pre-teach this one word. If it's not necessary, then don't do it at this stage. Do it later.
We had another, we thought that refer to students' background knowledge, the last one we read, that it's the fourth stage.
Oh, that's the last one, yeah?
Yeah.
But it sounds like, yes, it can be.
It can be.
I think it depends on the
It can be like lead in and like.
yeah.
personal project
I think
maybe.
if it's short, like engaging can be before, it can be ever be like
Yes.
teamwork, not text about it. But if it's more like a discussion, comparison with the person, it can be the last one.
So, of course, yeah, it depends on what you want to do with the help of this task, yeah, because you can use it in the end when you ask your students to personalize, to tell about their experience. Why not? What else?
We also have summarized the text in post-reading.
Post-reading, yeah. Actually, I noticed that a lot of you wanted to put this summarize the text as a post. Yeah, if we're talking about different post tasks, they are not related to reading this particular text or listening to this particular audio anymore. They are related to something which goes next, maybe reflecting, personalizing, going deeper into the details. But for summarizing a text, you need this particular text, the language, key phrases. So actually it is still reading for details, because you are going to read for details in order to get this information and summarize the text based on it.
Okay, also we thought that match titles can also be the second stage, same as like match headings to paragraphs.
Titles.
Yeah, because we have match titles in the third one, I think, and we have match headings. I think headings and titles can be the second stage. But
What is meant by title and what is meant by heading? And what is the difference between them?
it's a good question.
Good question.
Okay, I would say that this is a type of task which goes, which is a classical example of reading for gist. Reading for gist.
Yeah.
If we're talking about something like IELTS related reading, where you need to match the paragraphs, yeah,
With sentences?
not with the sentences, but with the titles, then it requires more detailed reading. Yes, still you get sort of you get the gist of the paragraph, but it's not the gist of the whole text. It's the gist of the paragraph. So in that case. Yeah.
Because, for example, if it is a title of a newspaper article, it's quite short, and the first, and the heading is beneath this title. It's like a one sentence about the article.
So like the introduction, introduction sentence.
And it depends on the structure. Like if it's one big chunk of text, well, that's then reading for gist. If it's a bunch of small, articles, then it should be reading for details, because you have to find the idea of each of those.
Yeah. But you're using your skimming skill for getting a general idea of each little article. Yeah. The skill would be the same, but it looks like reading for details, but it's not reading for details, still reading for details.
What about mentioning of difficult vocabulary with definitions? Isn't it more like scanning? I thought.
Difficult words?
Because
Scanning. Okay, so if we're talking about the vocabulary which we need for completing the task, then we're doing it, in between the stages. But if we're working on developing students' language, and this vocabulary wasn't used, wasn't necessary for completing the task, then it is a classical post-reading or post-listening activity, because you're working with language. You are looking at how this language is used in a context, and then you're working with it. You're trying to see what goes before, what goes after, what it collocates with, what meaning it has. So it's post-reading or listening task.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just maybe divide the text into paragraphs. Can it be like the gist reading?
Just divide the text into paragraphs.
Or no? Maybe. I guess probably it's more detailed.
Okay, you need to understand if it is the introduction, or you're presenting your first idea, you're supporting your first idea with some extra details. But then you're moving on to the next idea, summarizing, and so
Okay.
you need the details.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And I want you to help me. Yeah. I got a lot of mistakes. Yeah. I've got a lot of problems. So please use your experience and help me with my problems. I'm going to show you a lot of different ideas. And your first task is just to tell me if it is okay or not. You have to identify whether it's fine or not. So the first one, you've got all these ideas here, so you can also mark them plus or minus, happy or sad smile. So I gave my students listening reading, and after that they read and answered some questions about it.
That's okay. It happens. You just
Yeah,
forgot.
it happens, but is it okay?
Not really, because it's difficult to answer the questions. They don't know what to focus on while they're reading or listening.
What is the problem?
No pre-listening, pre-teaching, no pre-teaching.
Okay, maybe there was some kind of pre-teaching, maybe. Maybe,
There is
but...
no aim, you don't know why you're doing this.
They don't know to focus.
Okay, yes,
Oh, yeah. They didn't get the task before.
So they are reading, yeah. Try to do this experiment in any other language, in your first language. Okay, you read something and then somebody will ask you a question about a detail. Okay, yes, I understand everything perfectly, but I don't remember. Yeah, maybe, okay, let me read it again. So only after having this question you can read and find it. Yeah? So otherwise you are testing students, you are developing students' memory, not reading or listening skills. I ask my students to read some questions and then, do listen and read and answer these questions. Okay, fine, yeah. I chose some new words from the listen and reading randomly, and we told them.
Shouldn't do random keywords.
Okay, yeah, we need some keywords, the words which are necessary for completing the task. I pre-taught all new words.
And when
So you will answer all the words.
And my lesson finished. Okay, yeah. So, yeah, I would love to work with all the language, but if I'm developing listening and reading skills, then I need to prioritize. Listening and reading wasn't hard, so I decided not to pre-teach any words.
I think it's okay, but if you really know the students, you know the context, if you know that the words were maybe the previous units, I think it's okay.
Okay, so
But
acceptable.
Yeah.
Acceptable. Can be. We can justify it. Yeah, but. Be careful with this one, in my opinion. Yeah, if you really know your students' abilities, then it's fine. Yeah, sometimes you might have weaker and stronger students. Yeah, sometimes stronger students will be okay, but weaker not. There were definitely more new words than I pre-taught, but students were able to complete the task.
Yay, good for you.
Yeah, okay. Students did listen reading and had to do true-false task about some facts mentioned. I asked them about the speaker's opinion on the topic, however they were unable to answer my question.
I think it's kind of... I think it can be wrong because you didn't give them the task. So they were focused on like true or false and information.
So how many tasks are we working on at the same time?
One, true,
One,
false,
but
check.
you're giving them two tasks.
Yeah.
I think to be honest, like also there can be like a general like post-reading question maybe when you finish the true or false.
Yeah.
But I think it should be more personalized. Like what is your opinion, not just what was the speaker's
can be
opinion.
as
It can be what was the speaker's opinion, but finish
sorry
with
for speaking over you. I mean, it can be a transition to the next part. For example, if it's one stage, right? So they answer true, false. Then you ask about some more specific detail, and then they're like, what? And you say, let's find out.
Okay,
And
yeah.
then they
Yeah, good point, yeah. But the problem with this idea is that this transition was made in between, yeah, checking true false, yeah.
Yeah, of course. I mean, you're supposed to do this at the end, but
Yeah,
the very
yeah.
last.
Finish with
yes.
one task.
Yes.
Follow up. Yes, absolutely. Totally agree with you. Student had to complete 4 gaps while listening. They did a great job, so I decided to ask some extra questions, which I made up on the spot.
Yeah, why not?
Maybe that's your bridge to the next one. I mean, this extra questions.
Okay, if you can formulate your questions so they are leading you to the next stage,
I mean,
then I have no questions.
Usually, if they don't have questions, you're supposed to have questions, right? Because when you ask them, like when you make sure that everything was fine, and you see that it was okay, right? So it kind of makes sense to challenge them, because if the task was too easy, like it doesn't feel like an achievement.
Why? But it feels like an achievement.
That's what I see in the class that I visit.
Sure.
Yeah, and it's more about not about listening or revision. It's more about homework. Like if they didn't have questions to you, then you have questions to them, and you ask them, and often you can find some some
Teachers should be demanding as much as possible.
I know, to me personally, it makes sense more in grammar, because if they don't have a question, you just clarify, and it's like listen and they know. But here I think sometimes you don't need to do this, sometimes you can do this.
I think if these questions are connected to the text, they are about some details in the text, then it's not okay. But if they are just the opinion of students about this topic, so what do you think? Like, would you do the same? I think that will be okay then.
Okay, so thank you for dividing, the types of questions. So if you're asking about some more details, especially if we're talking about listening, students can't refer, they can't go back and listen again. You will be just testing their memory. It's not going to be developing. It's not going to be effective. You're not developing listening skills. You're just testing their memory. But if you're asking some extra questions, and you are trying to move on to the next stage, you are asking to reflect, to personalize, then I'm totally okay with that. I think students are going to be okay with that as well. To help students understand the text better, I ask them to read the text in pairs.
Together?
No.
Why
not?
Weaker, stronger students can read in pairs sometimes.
And they have different speed and
Okay.
One text.
Yes, one text.
It can be done sometimes, but more, I don't know, if they need to work on the vocabulary, maybe like it can be like a paradigm, they understand the meaning of the words, maybe. But other than that, I think it doesn't make sense. No, I don't know.
Is there such thing as reading in pairs?
Yes, to divide text into 2 parts and to retell.
If it is
One student is reading one part, another student is reading another part. But they are focusing on their part individually.
Yes.
Are we reading in pairs?
No.
Allowed
and not
compared
to
It might be a student who forgot his or her course book. And somebody else might share a book with me, but it's not reading in pairs. It's just sharing a book. So there is no such thing as reading in pairs. Reading is always an individual activity. Please don't forget about that. Reading is only done individually. What can we do in pairs? What can we do?
Read, for example, first part,
Good idea. What else can we do in pairs?
Check their pronunciation.
Okay, working on pronunciation while reading something aloud in pairs, yes. Discussing questions, Comparing answers, true or false, Yes, that can be done in pairs. The text was not very big, so when students read for details, they answered only 2 questions.
Out of?
I think out of 2. The text was not big.
They've done everything they should.
Then you send them to administrators, and they go level back. If that's one of the first lessons again, but that's only one of the things you should pay attention to.
Is the problem or not?
I think it's
It
not a
depends
problem.
If the
They
task
can-
was
they
the
can be too
questions
shy.
to answer, no.
Perhaps,
Okay.
perhaps people are too shy.
Yeah.
It happens sometimes that people are hesitant to answer, they feel uncomfortable, even though they know the answer.
But if we're talking about 2 questions out of 2 questions,
Probably that's
It's
not
all
reading
right.
for details.
yes. So we need to think about the task. Was the text chosen? Yeah, was the text appropriate? Was it up to like according to the level? Yeah, because usually, if you want your students to focus on details, you will need a little bit more. Yeah, a little bit more things. Yeah, to focus on. So 2 questions. Yeah, 1 or 2 questions are usually used for reading for gist. Yeah. But from the students coped well. Yeah, is a question to the teacher. The listening was not hard, so I skipped the gist task and I gave students the task for details right away. Students asked to listen again.
Well, if students ask to listen again, then it's a failure.
But some students again are shy to ask this. That's why I think
And that
it
feels
must be
that
listened
to-
2 times at least.
Yeah, but then every time there should be some appropriate task. If they are listening for the first time, then at least for the gist.
Okay.
And
I
only
think
then.
usually it's not okay, but to be honest, sometimes from my experience, there are listen and speak out when students give all the answers for all tasks after the first listen, like always. There are some tasks. So in this case, I think that if they really give that to you, you don't need to listen for the second time. But usually it's a bad idea. If the details should be.
But
Can I add here?
but why? How did they know what to do next? I mean,
Because the listening was really easy and the first task was easy, and they just remember the context, and then you give them the second task, they already know all the answers.
so they can
Yeah,
sort of
they remember what
predict.
was the information. They remember that all.
Okay,
Because it happens.
So the way out: listen and check if you are right.
Maybe like this.